Back here on SportsLine, about to cross the bottom of the hour. We continue our conversation with our very special guest, the voice of the Tennessee Titans, entering his 17th year of Titans play-by-play on the radio, Mike Keith. You look like you're 26 years old.
Thank you.
How could this be 17 years for you?
It is. I'm not. Trust me, I'm not 26.
Well, the years have been kind, my friend, both
nice
professionally and personally.
You're nice to say that. Thank you.
Let's go back to the phones real quick and check in with Ed on line 1. Good evening, Ed. You're on with Mike Keith.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
I got two questions. The first question is our new quarterback, is he from Hawaii?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And the second question is I know they're playing this weekend. Is the Titans going to let quarterback play three instead of 4 halves or quarters?
I would doubt that.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Ed. Appreciate it.
The first preseason game is normally, Ed, not the time that you play your starters that long. You generally work up to the third preseason game. Normally, first preseason game is a quarter or less for the starters. The second one is towards halftime. And then the third, oftentimes they play to the half and then into the second half, and then the fourth one they back off a little bit. The rationale for that, in large part, is because you want to see your backups very early in the preseason to determine which of the backups have the most legitimate chance to make your roster, because you start pairing the reps. For example, if a backup outside linebacker has a great game at Atlanta, you say, oh, Smith or Jones, whatever, that guy's got potential. Let's see a little more of him in practice this week.
Yeah.
And then we want to give him a little more time in the St. Louis game to see, was that a one-game, sort of spark, or is he somebody that can really help this football team? So normally, the first preseason game, the starters play less than a quarter. Coach Wisenhunt didn't say for sure, but that is the normal pattern.
And you mentioned Marcus Mariota being from Hawaii. How amazing is that the CBS affiliate in Honolulu wants to show exclusively Titans games all season long, not regional games, because Mariota is so big in Hawaii. I mean, they love their athletes that come from Hawaii. And I know all the preseason games are going to be broadcast there. It's just a phenomenon, what he's done, not only for this area, but just for the Hawaiian culture, for, West Coast college football.
Sure,
I mean, there's an East Coast, more of a Southeast bias when it comes to college football.
And there should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
There absolutely should be. What are you talking about? But he's fantastic. And, our audience in Oregon is going to be pretty big, too. We'll do a good number. They'll do a good number there. Yeah. I mean, even though it's on a competitor. But anyway. All right, let's talk about the offensive line. So many people have had questions about the Titans' offensive line. I like the fact that they're young. We're going to figure out who the right tackle is going to be. There's a battle there. Obviously, you have Lawan firmly entrenched at left tackle. I think this guy's got potential to be a 10, 15-year Titan, be an all-pro, all those wonderful things. But what I've been harping on this preseason is that interior offensive line, Levitre, Schwenke, and Warmack. I think those three, this is their third year together now. They have to show some cohesion. They have to show some consistency. And when you have a rookie quarterback, you got to give him a running game. Keep those third downs manageable. Stay ahead of those chains. The three together have had their best training camp as Titans. And the key in that is Warmack was the starter from day one when he got here in 2013 at right guard. Schwenke was not. Rob Turner was initially the starter. Well, now Schwenke's healthy. He's the starter. And Levitre, bless his heart, he's healthy.
Yeah, and he's having a good camp, too.
He's having a good camp. The interior three really having a nice camp. Lawan back at practice today. We expect he's going to play at Atlanta on Friday. The question remains right tackle. Is it Byron Bell?
Yeah.
Is it Jeremiah Potassi, or is it Byron Stingley, who's back from missing nearly a week with a concussion?
Right. Who do you think has the edge?
Bell. Right now it's Bell, and
he's been working with the ones.
He's been working
the
with
most,
the ones,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
But Potassi got a bunch of work this week, actually, with Lawan out at left tackle. We saw Bell move to the left side, and Potassi got a ton of reps, really, for the last week on the right side, and he started to make progress. The difficulty for Putasi is he's 21. He turned 21. He turned 21 5 days ago, and he's a young player. He's a raw player. He's a big player. He's 335 pounds.
He's a big man.
I think they might have stolen one in round 3 for the future. Is the future now? We'll see.
Wide receivers, I think Hakeem Nicks has come in, done a great job. Former New York Giant, won a Super Bowl, had 11 catches in that Super Bowl win over the Patriots. He's a good football player.
He is.
Former #1 pick. Justin Hunter. I mean, obviously a lot of eyes on this guy. The Titans traded up to get him. Former UT Vol, had his off-the-field problems before camp started. Ken Whisenhunt kind of called him out a little bit during the spring, saying, hey, this guy's got to pick it up. What have you seen from Justin Hunter this camp, and what does he need to do this summer to kind of earn back everybody's trust?
He's got to continue what he's done in camp. He's had a nice, solid camp. The thing that Justin Hunter has to do is he's got to win in contested battles.
Yes.
He is a good enough athlete.
And Wiz harps on that a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He is a good enough athlete that when the ball's in the air, he can win. He's got to win. And the other thing, too, is he can't have the mental lapses where he doesn't make catches that he can make. If it's in his radius, he's got to come down with it. If it's not a perfect throw, so what? He's got to find a way. You know, he's Spider-Man. He's 6'4", he's 210, he's got the legs and the arms. He can go get it, and that's what they need him to do more of because, listen, the guy jumps 40 inches. Yeah. He runs in the 4.3s. There's really nothing that he can't do. He's just got to be more consistent, and he's got to win the battles for contested footballs while they're in the air.
And I think that's the pattern for wide receivers now in the NFL. I mean, most quarterbacks, coaches tell you, hey, if I got a guy on single coverage, he's open. You know, that should be a win for us. I mean, you look at guys like Odell Beckham Jr. and Des Bryant, and we really do need to see Justin Hunter be that kind of guy. When the ball's in the air, it's mine. I don't care what you do to me. I don't care who you are. That ball is mine, and either I'm coming down with it or nobody's coming down with it.
That's it. And he can win those sorts of battles because of the physical gifts that he has. I think he's doing enough things well, you know, running his routes under control, knowing where he is on the field. His concentration appears to be improving. And listen, the Titans knew when they moved up to draft him that it was going to take time. John, he didn't play a lot of football at Tennessee.
A major knee injury,
Well, in his freshman year, he had 16 catches or something like that. Now, 8 of them were for touchdowns or something. It was crazy. He averaged like 25 yards a catch. But then the start of his sophomore year, he was going crazy and then had the knee injury at Florida. Came back and played his senior year. But you're not talking about a guy who did a lot of spring practice, who had done a lot of football. And so the Titans knew that it would take him a while to develop. Now's that time.
Right, no question about it. Dorial Green-Beckham.
Wow.
What are you seeing from this guy? I mean, nobody talks about this guy because of Mariota mania, but I love his size, I love his speed, and I think, obviously, he's another guy that's had some off-the-field problems, but I'm really excited to see this guy in some preseason games.
I am too. You're talking about 6'5", you're talking about 240 pounds, you're talking about a guy who runs in the 4.4s, was the #1 high school player in the country 3 years ago coming out of Springfield, Missouri.
Wow.
That's how well thought of this player was on a national basis. The Titans may have gotten another top 5 player if it works out. I think he's doing what he's supposed to right now off the field. I think he's doing what he's supposed to as a football player. And today he made another play where he beat a guy for a ball. The ball was thrown, the defensive back had a shot at it, the receiver had the shot at it, and he won because he's basically a defensive end playing wide receiver.
He's a big man.
He is. I
is
mean,
a big kid,
if you haven't been to a Titans practice, come out Sunday at 3 o'clock. It's a final open practice. If for no other reason, just to see how big Dorial Green-Beckham is. He is a monster of an individual and an unbelievable target. And he's started to get into this flow. Part of his issue is, like a lot of big guys, you think about like the 7'2" center in basketball who sometimes kind of stands there because he's used to being bigger. You got to play every play. And Green Beckham is learning that in this league with these athletes and some of these defensive backs and linebackers are mean people, they will knock you down.
Yes.
So
they don't care how big you are, what you did in high
school,
not afraid. What you did in college.
You better be ready to go every single snap, and Dorial Green Beckham is showing more of that. He's getting more. He's learning to play the pro game.
Right.
And that's why they're excited to have him.
I mentioned the running game earlier. Bishop Sankey is a guy that I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on this summer throughout the preseason games. You know, had his moments last year as a rookie, but it didn't seem to really, for him, to just come together.
Right.
What have you seen from Bishop Sankey? And is he still the lead dog?
He's the lead dog right now.
In the backfield.
Yeah, he's the lead dog.
Because I like Cobb and I really like Fowler because he's versatile.
And I like Antonio Andrews, too.
Yeah.
And McCluster is a player that certainly has a role on this team because of the various things that he can do.
Are they going to get him more involved in the offense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there are ways to get him more involved. But, you know, he can run the football, too. He's not just a specialty player.
Right.
So I think he's got a chance to be more involved. Sankey's the leader because he's taken the step. He's doing things the right way in terms of his pass protection and in terms of making certain that he's taken the right angles to the holes. And all
Wiz talks about that
all
ad nauseum.
All the time.
And that really is the running game in the National Football League.
That's right. You've got to be precise.
Yeah, it's angles, it's pressing the hole, it's all those things you hear, you know, the Merrill Hodge say, but it really is true.
Well, I think what the preseason is largely about for the Titans to watch. You're going to watch a lot of the young outside linebackers, Yannick Cujo-Virgil, J.R. Tavai, Deontrez Mount, guys like that, and see Jonathan Massaquoi, guys like that, to see if they can make a difference rushing the passer to give the Titans some backup, and then the running backs. Because the running backs are running against real tacklers, trying to take them to the ground. Sometimes there's going to be a hole. Sometimes there's not.
Let's see who can break a tackle and make a play, right?
Let's see. The thing about Cobb that I love about Cobb is I don't know what you hit.
Yeah, I know.
He's 5'9".
He's a fire hydrant.
He is. He's
a tree stump.
He's 5'9". He's about 230 pounds. And he runs with a great body angle. And I don't know what you hit. I mean, now, his problem, why was he there in the 5th round? I don't think he's ever broken 4.75 on a time. Yeah. But you know what? Who cares? If he can run over people, you'd like for him to go 40 yards.
Right.
I think at this point you'd say, let's go 20.
Right.
You know, he's going to play some football. But keep your eye on Andrews. Andrews is, I tell you, Andrews won't go away. He's learning more about the game. He's learning to be more versatile. He wants to do things on special teams.
Coaches seem to really like him, too.
Well, you like guys who want to play football.
Yeah.
Antonio Andrews has made it clear he's going to do what it takes to try to stay on this football team. And there's room always for a guy like that, always that 53rd spot, sometimes 52 as well. But there's room for one guy like that on a roster. If he just makes it to the fact, John, you say, we can't cut him.
Yeah.
We can't cut this guy. And I know everybody in our viewing audience tonight's pulling for the Hilltopper,
of course,
who is a Fort Campbell Falcon as well.
Yeah, big opening game, Western Kentucky at Vanderbilt. That's going to be a lot of fun. All right, time for another break. When we come back, we're going to talk some Titans defense. I'm going to ask you about Wesley Woodyard and some other players. So, and your phone calls as well. You can tweet me at Jon Burton 32. Mike does not tweet, so tweet it. You got to get a Twitter handle. We're back after this. Stay with us.